Everything up until the age of 19, when it came to education, I failed at. So what do you think I'm going to do? That I'm going to go and conquer the world now? I'm going to be the best at something? No. Good manners is a really good base, because wherever you go, irrelevant if you don't speak the language or you're not the same age, good manners still follow you.
Today's guest is Mr. Superprime and host of the TV show Buying London in the UK.
Everyone's doubting themselves, but just beyond that moment of doubt is a moment of success. I'm just prepared to keep playing and staying in the game. It's like poker. If you stay in the game long enough, you might find yourself winning.
We often talk about the UAE and Dubai real estate, but today we're going to talk about London, why the real estate opportunities exist there, and how you become a successful real estate agent in that space. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of the podcast. Today's guest is Mr. Superprime and host of the TV show Buying London in the UK. We often talk about the UAE and Dubai real estate, but today we're going to talk about London, okay, why the real estate opportunities exist there, and how you become a successful real estate agent in that space. Now, if you're not into real estate, it's still worth listening to, because Daniel's gone through lots of ups and downs along the way to achieve his success. Please welcome Daniel Daggers. This episode is proudly sponsored by Allsop & Allsop, Dubai's leading and largest real estate brokerage. They've been in business for 16 years, and they have created 153 millionaires within their organization. The top earners in the company are taking in over 10 million dirhams in commission annually. Now, has that got your attention? Because it gets better. If you're considering a change in career or you're looking for your next step, there literally is only one choice. Life at Allsop & Allsop offers unlimited tax-free earning potential and an unmatched high-performance culture that you'll find in no other brokerage here in the UAE. They're there because they're designed to unlock your full potential. Be trained by the best to become the best. You'll be working with a hand-picked team of real estate experts who really are the best the industry has to offer. There's no wonder they have the strongest retention in the industry. Are you ready to change your life? Get in touch with Allsop & Allsop. Keep moving. So, Dan, thank you so much for coming to join us today.
My absolute pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
This is interesting because real estate seems to be a theme that runs through a lot of what I do. But if we remove real estate and start to think about people and human beings and why they choose to do what they do, tell me why you became a real estate guy. What was your reason?
I was told that I wasn't good at doing anything else and I wasn't going to be a success. So that's why most of my youth I failed.
Let's explore that a little bit, because my story is quite similar. So what do you mean you failed? Did you not do very well at school? Or?
Yeah, like I think we all go down a very similar route, which has been staged for us, which is you go to a school, and if you perform well at school, which is learning and remembering what people tell you, and learning in the same way everyone else does practically, and then if you don't remember the stuff at the time that they tell you that you need to remember it all, you fail. And so I failed an awful lot because my brain doesn't work that way. And if you fail an awful lot, by the time you're 18, 19, and you go to sixth form or you do a GMVQ, which is probably a bit old school now, but I did a GMVQ in business because I couldn't get A-levels and I couldn't go to university. So everything up until the age of 19, when it came to education, I failed at. So what do you think I'm going to do? That I'm going to go and conquer the world now? I'm going to be the best at something? No, they told me that I wasn't going to be successful.
So did that stir something up inside of you that made you kind of like, I'll show you, in response to it? Or did you fall into this profession what was the first thing you sold?
Myself, probably.
Okay.
Right.
Fair point.
When someone asks you, do you want the job? Or, or before they tell you that you can have the job, you've got to say what you're prepared to do. So I suppose that's the first thing that I sold. I didn't want to be a real estate agent. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like 90% of other people that aren't good at school and haven't been told this is the journey that you should go down because you'll be phenomenally successful at it. But if I did what my mum wanted me to do, I'd be a tennis player, a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. But I wasn't good at any of those. So that wasn't going to work. I was good at playing football, and I was good at being not the class clown, but having fun with people. And football gave me a form of tenacity. Yeah. And I started to understand why I did things during a game. When I was younger, I have memories of when I was 8 and how I was sort of manipulating roles so that I could be more successful on the pitch. Yeah. Or not roles, but my competitors. And that triggered me to love the sport, love the competition. And I just took that into business. That was it. I didn't want to be an estate agent.
Okay. How long have you been an estate agent?
Since I was 17 and a half.
So you did nothing else?
I'm 44 now. Pardon?
You did nothing else?
What do you mean? I've done loads of things.
What did you do before you were a real estate?
No, nothing. I applied for a job at JD Sports, which they didn't come back to me on.
Times are tough when they don't come back.
No, seriously, I was really disappointed. I thought to myself I was going to get a pair of Nikes, with staff discount.
So do you remember when you first started then working in estate agency? I mean, back in those days, I'm 54, you're 44.
Yeah.
Back in those days, they were like it was almost like a shop front, wasn't it, on a high street somewhere?
It still is here.
Is it? Okay.
I mean, it's so archaic. But yeah.
There would be the guy at the back with the big photocopying all the stuff being posted out.
I licked 1,000 stamps and envelopes. I put everything through people's doors. I remember driving around in my Vauxhall Corsa, driving people around just after I passed my test. Just petrified of driving people around and having to reverse park. Carrying bunches of keys and nervous that I'm going to take the wrong key with me. All these very small things. Yeah, was hypersensitive for me when I was that age. Also looking and wanting to feel older. So I had a beard when I was, well, not a beard, but I'm not follically challenged. So I had a beard when I was about 4. But growing my facial hair out a little bit so people thought that I was a little bit older, so they would trust me more. All these sort of things. My first day at work, I remember walking through the door and there was a woman called Grace who was gorgeous, right? Really gorgeous woman. I thought to myself, oh my goodness. And then I was told, sit at the desk. So the boss came in a little bit later, said, sit at the desk. I was right in the window. They said, make phone calls, sell real estate. And I'd never sold anything, to your question previously, never sold anything before. I couldn't convince my mum to give me extra hours out playing football, let alone sell real estate. So that was a real rude awakening as a spotty teenager.
So what did you do? How did you go about it? I mean, you had to get listings, I suppose, like anybody else?
No, I didn't have to get listed because it's an estate agency business here in the UK. So what happens is the firm brings the listings on and you have to make phone calls to stick people to property.
Okay.
And then, so I was getting paid £7,000 a year salary and 10% commissions. I don't know what I was taking home at the time, £14,000, whatever it may be. Saw my friends come out of uni and get golden handshakes at 32, 33,000, £40,000. That was a bit heart-wrenching. Had to have a very serious conversation with myself at that time when I was about 20, 21. But essentially the business did all the marketing, brought the clients in, and then you would be taking phone calls because you'd be advertising real estate, and you'd register the buyers, and then you'd hopefully find that buyer and stick them to a new property. And that was the game.
And the adverts were all in the newspaper back then?
Yep. Talked about it this morning in our business meeting this morning. Yeah.
So all that stuff in the newspaper all those years ago, you did. And how long into doing it did you start to think, hold on a minute, I've got a knack of this, or I quite like this, or I can do it?
Yeah, okay, so really good question, because I had a moment when I was working at Vickers & Co. in Maida Vale in the window opposite the petrol station, and I had a moment where I was trying to stick a deal together with a guy called Christopher, who was looking to buy it, and it was an apartment in Sutherland Avenue, and this was probably 2001, because I started in 1997, and I remember there was we had to do some sort of financial tweaking to enable him to have the money to buy the real estate, but time was the factor because it was costing him money. So I remember coming to the office and opening. It was an open plan office. It was about 1,000 square feet, and I said, "This is the problem. Can you help me find a solution?" Probably not in that way, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I had guys and gals there who've been doing this for 20 years at that point. And they couldn't figure it out. And then I answered my own question. And I said, well, why don't we do this, this, and this? I can't remember exactly what it was. And they said, yeah, that works. And I put the deal together and I did the deal. And this is the time when I thought to myself, okay, I sort of get this game now, right? I do the people piece really well because I learned from my dad. Do that really well. That's not a problem. Can I understand the mechanism of putting a deal together. And at that moment, I got a lot of courage for myself. I thought to myself, yeah, okay, I can do this.
Because you could see something other people couldn't see in that
Correct.
moment, yeah?
Yeah. Or I solved an equation that other people couldn't solve. Meanwhile, the only equations I ever had in my life was at school.
Yeah.
And I couldn't solve
Solve
them.
those ones.
So, it was a big change.
I think those types of moments are quite profound.
Yeah.
They make you... They turn you into the next stage of essentially your journey, in whichever journey you're going on. You get into that moment. It's like, I now believe in me.
Correct.
And once you believe in you, then all of a sudden, many things are easy to accomplish, aren't they? Or easier to accomplish than you first thought.
Well, maybe you have imposter syndrome from the day dot.
Yeah.
Maybe I just didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Possibly, right? That doesn't happen when you get senior. Maybe it just happens through eternity of your career.
So take me to that time then. So you're 21 years old, you've had this moment, you're like, aha, I get it. If we take the graph, did the trajectory go kind of on a steady, slow graph up and you just become more and more successful? Or was there a period of time where it became hockey stick-like, where it just went exponentially?
No spikes. My career hasn't really worked that way. So I worked in a small independent as Vickers for 10 years. And what I did is, in 1999, I saw the internet come along. So I heard the conversations around, we need a website because, Sally from Hong Kong will buy a property in London through a website. And everyone scoffed at the idea. But because Foxtons were doing it and Knight Frank were doing it, we had to do it too. So I remember the conversations around that. And then I started to see that I wasn't selling to Sally and Stephen anymore. I was selling to Ahmed and Joao Penn and whoever it may be. And all these foreign names. I thought to myself, the world's becoming like it's different now. It's just different. Culturally, it's different. The people I'm dealing with different. And then you saw the big businesses that spend a lot of money on their digital marketing or paid some form of paid marketing, whether it be the newspapers and offices come in like Knight Frank and Savills. They did exceptionally well. And then they enticed me to go and work there. I didn't feel like most people in business when you're young, if you have talent and drive, often there is a person who's older than you that won't allow you to grow. Yeah, there's that ceiling. Mm-hmm. And in this instance, in my first business, I wanted to become an equity partner of the business. And they weren't prepared to do that for me. I was severely underpaid. And I thought to myself, I want to challenge myself. I see a change and I need to get ahead of it. Thankfully, my father was really behind it. My mum was a bit concerned. She's more conservative. And I went for it.
And so who did you join?
So I joined a company called Knight Frank.
So you went to Knight Frank, one of the big famous names.
One of the big names, when they probably had something like 400 people in the UK at the time.
And how was that transition from this company that basically you were part of the furniture for many years into this completely new environment?
I wasn't even part of the furniture. It was like family.
Yeah.
They got me at 17. I left at 27. So they've seen me grow through my years. Yeah. I hadn't sold a property over £1 million for a decade. So I started off selling at 90,000, 110,000, and then gradually got to 950,000 and making commission. I got a little deal book with all my deals in it, like I show all the young people in our business. And I moved to KF, which was a difficult move because you go from a small independent where everyone's like family, you know each other intimately well, and you go to a big business and you go to head office and it's all rather formal and everyone's dressed in suits and there's different kinds of people and you start asking yourself, okay, this is interesting. I need to learn something new here. I always had good manners because my mum drilled that into me. And so that was a good basing. Good manners is a really good base because wherever you go, irrelevant if you understand, if you don't speak the language or you're not the same age, good manners still follow you, okay? And they're still acceptable by everybody unless you travel. And you know that because you lived abroad. And then I was there for a decade and I just scaled that business. And then there were moments, peaks of forms of success and troughs where life got really difficult.
The first 3 months of being at Knight Frank, how long did it take you to feel like you fit in and belonged and stuff like that?
I don't think I ever fitted in.
Was there a period of time though, that first period, you're like, have I made the right decision?
Yeah.
There?
So it was a really interesting time because it was. I joined November 2007.
Okay. Good timing.
Right. So financial crisis comes into play. We could feel it. My dad was like, there's something on the horizon. Be careful. Don't spend your money. be thoughtful, be considered. And I was always thoughtful and considered. I grew up in local authority housing, and I'm Jewish. There aren't very many Jewish kids that grow up in local authority housing. But it was probably, my youth is the greatest foundation that I could ever have, and I'm so happy about it. And we could talk about that later if you'd like. But when I went into the big firm, I got an opportunity to work in 2 different price ranges. Okay, so it was between 1 to 4 million, which we called at the time core market, and then from 4 million to 10 million, which we called the prime market. And I had a conversation with myself. I talked to myself an awful lot. I'm sure you do. A lot of people do. Mm-hmm. And I have healthy conversations, thank God, with myself. And I said to myself, I think that wealthy people are going to bounce back from this far quicker than everyone else. And therefore, I'm going to go and test myself in a market that I've never worked in before. So whilst it was only 5 minutes up the road, because you work in patches in the UK, I didn't know those patches particularly well, and I didn't know the price point, and I didn't understand the customer base. But I thought to myself, everyone's going to underestimate me because I'm 27 and people don't really know that I have a decade's worth of experience. Happy days. And I started to work between 4 and 10 million. Didn't do a deal, even though I was used to doing 10, 15 deals a month. Didn't do a deal for, I think it was 6 months. Or 3 months, something like that. Saw lots of people get let go. But they could hear the conversations that I was having and how eloquent I was, even though I don't have a great grasp of the English language. And they kept me on. And after 6 months, I started to rock and roll. The market bounced back a little bit, but I'd created so much momentum by speaking to so many people and staying enthusiastic and consistent that when the market started to change a little bit, I was on that wave.
When you think about those 6 months, do you wonder how you kept yourself motivated?
No.
How did you keep yourself motivated?
I come from very little. I'm really happy in my apartment, with food and a TV and maybe a PlayStation. Yeah, I'm very, very, very chilled. I come from a background where if you gave me a ball and I had someone to play with, I'm an only child, and I had someone to play with, I'm happy. Mm-hmm. And so I just knew that I had to be consistent and keep going. When I was 20...
A lot of people doubt themselves in a period like that.
Of course,
I mean,
no.
You've probably employed people that for 6 months have struggled, that are sat there wondering
Everyone's doubting themselves.
What they're doing wrong.
Everyone's doubting themselves. But just beyond that moment of doubt is a moment of success. I'm just prepared to keep playing and staying in the game. Yeah? It's like poker. I don't play poker. But if you stay in the game long enough, you might find yourself winning. You just need to stay in the game.
Do you think that most people don't have that staying power?
Yes, absolutely.
Why is that?
Because of your youth.
Tell me more.
Your youth creates your opportunity. It creates all these thoughts and considerations around why you should do things and the stories you tell yourself. I went to a local Jewish school. Most of the kids turning up with mum in a Mercedes convertible, all doing pretty well. But my dad put me through a local boys' club, which was a youth centre. And I was the only Jewish boy that went there. It was full of black kids, Muslim kids, white kids from the estate. It was like a melting pot of different cultures. And the only thing that everyone had in common is that they were street kids. Mm-hmm. We just played football and table tennis. And the local youth centre was our safe place. It wasn't so safe for me every now and again, and I'd have to fight. Mm-hmm. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't love it. It petrified me. But I had to do it. And that's where I learnt how lucky I was to have, firstly, both my parents, and also the opportunity to choose to understand how different people think and do things, different backgrounds, different cultures, different ways. And I put that all together, and I created essentially a place where I feel comfortable amongst people. And I'm prepared to go through the difficult times. Because, I got bullied loads there. Loads. I was the black sheep wherever I went. And therefore, feeling uncomfortable was just a natural environment for me. It's almost become an addiction.
And do you think when people go into sales of whatever it is that they sell, for a lot of people, it's really uncomfortable?
Yeah.
It's like, and if you're not
kind of exposed to that or got used to that in any form of your upbringing, then it can become overwhelming very quickly.
I think we've done a poor job. I think successful people over the past decade or two have done a poor job really explaining what success looks like, because it doesn't look like you're winning every day. Success actually often looks like failing an awful lot, just not giving up. But no one really tells you that when you're growing up. No one really tells you that. I remember seeing my dad working at our dining table and seeing him stress out about invoices and all these sort of things. And I couldn't quite understand why at school no one was teaching me about invoicing and the problem of getting paid and all this sort of stuff. So I was aware of it. But then for probably a decade and a half or 2 decades, from 17 to 35, before social media, where was I going to get content from people telling me, actually, you know what? It's been an absolute nightmare. It's been so difficult what I do. It's been so difficult, but actually I got to the back of it now. I got to a place where we've built enough credibility and enough customer satisfaction that I'm getting referred more business, and actually life gets a lot easier once you do that. No one ever said that.
As you went through your career from the age of 21 onwards, if you've had this steady progress, can you remember some dark moments that you went through where you started to really question what you were doing, why you were doing it? Tell me about one of those.
I mean, you look at it as steady progress, but you could also say that for 10 years I stood still. I worked in one firm and I didn't make that much more money. I wasn't driving around in a Lamborghini.
But you don't know what you don't know then, though, do you?
No, you don't know what you don't know. Exactly right. And at the time, there's comfort in that because we didn't see social media. We didn't have the opportunity to understand what other people are doing, their success, except for watching your friends succeed, which when you're young is really difficult because you think they're taking something away from you as opposed to saying, oh, maybe I can learn something from them.
That's a really valid point.
Yeah, because this is a zero-sum game. If you're winning, you're taken away from me. That's absolutely not the case. You want to be beside winners so you learn more. And then you can execute better, and then you'll be more successful. And then other people should say, I need to learn from this person. So I think that the youth, the foundation of youth is so valuable, and your attitude towards it and how you think about it. You can think about it in a negative way. I got threatened at knife point. I got mugged at knife point 4 times. And people used to bully me because I was Jewish. Or I could say, oh, what a challenge that was. I didn't enjoy it, but look at my life now. It's so much better. I really understand it. I can talk my way out of issues. I can see before something happens on the street. I can see it.
When you meet the clients that you do business with and have done over the years, some of them will be high flyers, successful entrepreneurs, successful business people, not just people that have inherited wealth.
Yep.
All of those people will have been on a journey as well.
Exactly right. And they've all gone through really difficult times. Every single one of them.
And do you think that's a way that you can connect with people that you do business with?
You don't really sit there with people and go, oh, I'm in so much pain right now.
No.
Like that doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
Like no one really
My life's
sits,
shit.
let's
Can we
cry
have a
around the
coffee?
desk. Let's cry around the desk. No one wants to hear negative stuff.
But everybody wants to share their story, and sometimes they feel that there's some value that they can bring to others. So when you meet,
which is what you're doing here. Like your podcast is adding value. You're telling your stories and you're enabling other people to tell their stories. But can I do that with my customer base? No.
See,
if I've got enough time,
that's
yes.
interesting. I've done that over the years in sales. I've sat with people that are really successful, and I've been like, I want to know how you made your money. And I want to know times that hurt. Can you share that? And they have this kind of like they want to share a bit of wisdom because they think it can help because they want you to know.
But that's not me. That's not me talking about me.
No.
That's me asking my client
Your prospective
base.
client.
Yeah. I mean, I don't say it that way, but I would say, do you mind me asking what you do for a living if I don't know already? And then I might say, can you just give me a bit of guidance? Like, how did you become so successful? Right? I'm not going to ask them to tell me about all the dark moments just to reconfirm that they had dark moments.
Too, yeah.
Right? Like that it's a bit sycophantic that.
Yeah, I get it.
I'd rather they said to me, like I saw an opportunity, I went for it. There were loads of naysayers. Yeah. But I knew every time there was a naysayer that I was onto something good. Now think about that message it tells me and I'm telling everyone else. It's a great message to tell people. And yes, often you do get that. I mean, your question previously, I didn't answer around, did you have difficult moments? Yes. In the real estate industry, the way you value yourself is by doing deals. Right? Not because someone sends you an email to say, thanks for your help.
How many deals you've done or how much money you've made? What's the
all
value?
Of those.
They're all the metrics, yeah?
All of the metrics in a estate agency or in the brokerage world. GCI, gross commission earn, that they do in the US. I don't know what the terminology is in the Middle East, but that's how real estate professionals value themselves.
So you're better than me if you've got a higher GCI than me, and I'm better than you if I've got a higher GCI than
right,
me.
So there's that, yes.
Okay.
And then there's what's your average sale price. Okay, because some people say, well, I don't want my average sale price to be $250,000, even though they're making $20 million a year. I'd rather have my average sale price at $15 million and make $10 million in commission, right? So you start asking yourself, okay, why would you do that? Is there an element of ego? Would you just like the luxury lifestyle? I mean, just being in that environment. I know people that are selling small value assets on the regular, making a hell of a lot more money than people that sell very high value assets. So this is how agents really feel value. Like, I'm successful. There's no, this is the 8th time the client is buying a property from me. Or whenever there's a problem, they pick up the phone to me and ask for advice. We've been so driven into KPIs to deliver a service that enables us to make money that we've forgotten about the actual service. And that's what made me successful, or makes me successful, I think. But that comes with hard times, for sure.
So you say that makes you successful. So you're different because you care? Is that what you're saying?
I have a huge amount of pride of what I do.
Okay, pride, okay.
Pride, and I care. I really care about the people that I'm doing business with. Yeah, I'll know how old the kids are, what school they're going to, where they go on holiday. I'll give them some advice all the time, consistently, without asking for anything. You add as much value as you possibly can in certain scenarios.
Do you believe that your industry, because of the way that their income is structured, where very low basics and high commissions, do you think it sucks in the best and the worst of people into being a real estate agent?
Yeah, but there's the industry is very cutthroat, and the people at the top tend to be the best at what they do. It's really that simple. It's a bit like every other industry. The barrier of entry is low. There's poor education around it, depending on where you are, because there's licensing in certain markets and there's no licensing in others. Like there's no license here in the UK. It means that anyone can make commission from selling real estate. Anyone. That has a major impact on the mechanism of how our industry works. I don't think you'll ever change it, but I do think that I've got a consideration as to how the industry is going to move forward. I think the art of the deal is going to potentially evaporate. Okay? The art of the deal being, it's a complex proposition. And this person is not easy to get hold of, but they really want to buy the property, and they live abroad or they speak a different language. And the skill would be downloading WeChat, having the ability to speak to somebody in their language, in Mandarin, having the aptitude to do that, then speaking to them at the times that you know is the right time for them. Yeah, maybe just after they've had a meal, so a meal at their time, and that means that they're going to be more fulfilled, right, rather than hangry. All these sorts of things, these psychological things. I think that might evaporate as technology sort of eats into our industry, where people will just click to make bids.
Do you think that you've seen technology out there now where young people can go online, go to a portal, they can put their information in, and the AI says these are the top 3 properties for you to buy based upon your investment criteria. Do you think, and again, I'm 54, I have a daughter who's 25 that works in real estate in Dubai. When I look at that, do you think that there will be a shift as time goes by with more people buying property online in ways they never did before?
It's a tangible asset. The only way I can see it happening where there is no touch and feel is if it's micro investments, a bit like the conversation we had with your friends.
But when that's where you believe. Okay, so if I've bought property here in London,
without seeing it
by email,
Okay.
20 years ago.
Do you live in it?
No.
So you see it as a financial asset?
I just see it as an investment.
Yeah.
So
it's unemotional.
So we have one. There's no emotion. It's just numbers.
Exactly.
Me. Yeah. So I mean,
That's exactly what I'm saying.
The truth is, I haven't ever seen some of them.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm saying.
So, but when people, I don't know what percentage of the market that is, but if you were to look at me, I would have some investment properties plus a property that I live in and a holiday home.
But the holiday home and the property you live in, did you go and see?
Always.
Okay, why?
Because I want to know what the view is and where I'm sat and what the angles are.
Because
I don't know all the normal things and what it makes me feel.
Because it's how you feel about something. Okay, if you're saying I don't care about how I feel, I just want to know that it's a great financial asset and it's going to give me this return, then that's just a numbers game. It's like buying stocks and shares.
Right.
And my attitude to that is, or my understanding around that is that if you then apply a physical asset to digital infrastructure like blockchain, and you can buy a percentage of a property that is valued and is kicking off a return, can I see you going click, click, bang, I've just bought it? Yes.
But so you don't believe that people are going to potentially build a portfolio of, let's say, 1 beds and studios and 2 beds for buy-to-let purposes only, still without viewing?
No, I think they won't view it. If it's just a financial asset.
So they will go online and make those purchases online, which makes the real estate agent in its traditional format different. It's almost like it becomes an investment advisor.
No, I don't think they become an investment advisor because I think it will all be on blockchain.
Okay.
And if it's all on blockchain, you'll know what the return is, who holds the assets, all the legalities around the structure. You'll know who the lawyers involved. You know everything from blockchain. So the agent won't become that person. Do you know what the agent will become?
What?
And what we all are is a conduit of information.
Okay.
We are all conduits of information. Every business is an information sharing business. Mm-hmm. You can see I'm in my serious pose now, right? Every business is an information sharing business. So for real estate agents, we share pictures, floor plans, video, description. That's what we share.
Yeah.
If you're selling an iPhone cover, you're selling the texture, the size, the color, the shape. It's just information. Mm-hmm. He or she that can share the information fastest and best wins.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So actually, real estate agents become marketeers because we're all marketeers. Mm-hmm. And the sales process, the skill of the sales process gets smaller, not bigger. Mm-hmm. That I find very interesting, which is why we built the business the way we built it and why we built another business. Can I mention it?
You can mention any business. Yeah.
So DDRE Global is a media marketing and technology business that incubates estate agents, their talent and their personal brand to deliver the message. Mm-hmm. But we built a business called advsr.ai.
advsr.ai,
yep. Which is an abbreviation of advisor and advertiser. And I believe that everybody will be able to deliver information to their audiences, and the acquisition function will be done by click, click, bang. So if I have 1,000 people marketing a property, I'm going to find the buyer faster. Mm-hmm. And if I take away the responsibility of all the negotiation and I just digitize that service, then that's a really interesting place to be. Mm-hmm. And that's that business.
Okay, well, let's explore that a little bit here because I see, I was with Ben Bandari the other day from Million Dollar List in UAE. Yep. Obviously, I know lots of people in the real estate business. Mm-hmm. Now, I've trained a lot of people in real estate.
Yep.
And for me, social media and media is critical to demonstrate your value.
Yep.
When you've got a whole bunch of people doing it. But there is enormous resistance to anyone putting their face to something or their voice to something and feeling very, very uncomfortable.
You mean from the agents?
From the agent side.
Does that create more opportunity for the agents that can do it?
Hell yeah, absolutely. Of course
Happy
it does.
days.
Yeah, I get that. But that's what I want to come on to because I was talking to Ben and Ben, I remember Ben coming to me with the idea. He came to me with the idea years ago. It's like $1 million listing to buy. He had the idea. He had no idea how to get the idea off the ground.
And he created it.
Okay. He literally saw it in the States. He's like, I'm going to get the rights to that. So he bought the rights. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it took him years until he, by accident, stumbled upon this situation where there was a guy that was very high up in Abu Dhabi I saw it.
Yeah? I saw this.
So,
but was it by accident?
Well, hold on.
Or did he manifest it?
Well, whether he manifested through hard work and effort, I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
Maybe he did. Okay,
Yeah.
and I won't take that away from Ben. But I remember when he came to me and he said to me, "Can you help me?" I'm like, "Well, how much money do you need me to invest?" And he said a number, and I'm like, "You're bonkers, Ben. You are bonkers." And he's like, "No, it works, Ben. It'll work, Ben." I'm like, "Shut up." Anyway, so. But after watching Ben on the TV show, after seeing you on your TV show, after seeing people and convincing them to create social media content, not just around real estate, but everything related to it as well. I don't know if you know Summer Newman, who's on TikTok. Okay, so Summer's dad and I are really good friends. I've met
Very smart.
Yeah, very smart. Doesn't say a word, makes videos. And when I look at that, that's someone that said, okay, there's a medium here that I can use. I need to take advantage of learning how to use this medium myself because it will deliver me a result. And Summer takes other people's products. She makes a video on it. She doesn't sell real estate. She just generates the lead to convert that into a sale.
But she's selling her time.
Absolutely. So how big were you before the television program? How much were you into, or how much did you believe that social media and creating content was really valuable for you?
Okay. This is a bit of a statement.
Go for it.
Okay. I don't know if it's entirely true or accurate. Well, I know it's accurate. Let's stick with accurate. I was one of the first real estate agents on the planet to professionalize content. I've been producing content for nearly a decade. You can go and have a look at it. You can see. I knew the opportunity. It was obvious, and I'll explain why. 432 Park Avenue. Do you know that building? In New York.
In New York.
You know the building? It's square, and it rockets up. I don't know.
Tall and thin.
Tall and thin.
Okay.
Most of the buildings there are tall and thin, but yeah. And it abuts the park. Okay. When it was being constructed, I was one of 7 agents, real estate agents from across the world, to get invited there to go and have a look at it because I've got access to a lot of wealthy people. And I went up an outside lift, 2 outside lifts, to like the 70th floor. The windows were just put in, and I'm walking around. It's a freezing building site. By the way, building sites are colder inside in the winter than they are outside, than it is outside. And I'm walking around this floor plate, and I thought to myself, I said to the guy, can I just Facebook Live this? Shows you how many years ago this was. This is a long time ago. He said, yeah, go for it. So I went onto Facebook Live, very nervous about spending too much money on my credit or whatever it was for the business that was paying my telephone bill and my usage. And I went onto Facebook Live on my personal Facebook page, and I was like, "Hello, everybody!" And I've got it on my Instagram account. Yeah? You'll see it. Yeah, you go and see it. And I've got more of a crew cut. I look much younger, much slimmer for sure. And I'm walking around this property, going, "Here's the living room. There's the view. Wow, look at that. And I was horrendous. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I uploaded it, and I got 25,000 views. And some of my clients who are friends of mine going, I'm going to let my husband know about this. And they're all ultra high net worth. And I knew the penny dropped because I'd heard there was something called GDPR, which meant that I couldn't send lots of emails to clients and I couldn't communicate with them that freely and that easily. But social media is GDPR compliant because people are opting in. So can I send 25,000 emails or text messages to my potential clients without getting in trouble about this wonderful asset that I'm showing them? No. So then there must be a huge amount of value associated with being able to do this. Yes. Came back, went straight to head office, said to the head of marketing for Knight Frank, who was Australian, great woman, said to her, right, I need to set up professional handles. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And I did that. And ever since then, I've been building my business. So DDRE now is the 4th most influential real estate business across the UK at marketing and selling homes over £5 million. Do you know what our ad spend is?
Tell me.
Well, and we don't have an office, by the way, like an office on the street. So there's no hoarding anywhere. 0 ad spend.
Really?
Yes. So it's all built off social impact.
So then when you employ people into your business and
we don't employ them. They're brokers.
Okay, so when you have brokers that work with you, okay, do they get that?
100%.
Or do they struggle to kind of like adapt to that themselves?
Depends on your environment you create. if you create an environment where we want you to build a great business for yourself because it's equitable and it helps us too, and everyone's pushing everybody to be great on camera and go for it and be yourself, and it's a very accepting environment, then the environment helps promote people to go and be successful and do what they need to do. Also, you end up attracting people to your business because of the way you are marketing properties. And that means that you don't have to sort of convince people to do things. They do it. And that's creating the environment.
If a real estate agent didn't use social media today, they just, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm just so overwhelmed by it. I can't do it. Is that almost a red flag to have them working with you in any way?
To a certain extent.
Do you know successful real estate agents that don't use any form of social media
Sure.
or marketing and are successful?
No, maybe not putting themselves on camera. Yes. But let me tell you something about the most successful real estate agents that I've ever met. And I've traveled the world meeting the best agents. And I mean it, Australia, Middle East, the US, Europe, everywhere. I haven't been to Hong Kong, actually. And you know what they all have in common? If they walk down the high street, everyone knows who they are. They know who they are because everyone knows that they are a really important part of everyone's lives at doing the real estate thing. So they are known for being the real estate person of choice, which creates a lot of accountability, which creates a lot of respect, which creates a lot of business generation, all that sort of stuff that follows you. So I don't work on the physical high street. I also work on the digital high street. If I'm known on the digital high street, I don't have to rely on the 10 people that walk past my office every morning or 20 people that don't look at my office window anymore because they're too busy looking at their phone. I'm going to rely on the digital high street where there's billions and billions of impressions that are created around hopefully your business.
In Dubai recently, they banned cold calling.
Great.
And by banning cold calling, that means now that people have got to find another way. So
yeah, but it was crazy though.
Where I was getting 4 or 5 phone calls a day, I'm now getting 5 or 6 or 7 WhatsApp messages a day. People still not accepting that, you know, there's 2 types of selling as far as I'm concerned. There's push selling and pull selling.
Correct.
Okay, you go out and hunt or you create an environment where people come to you.
Correct.
Okay?
Bang on the money.
And that's exactly what I prefer to do. Okay, I'd rather you come to me already making a decision that maybe I might be the right guy, I could be valuable to you, I could help you, and that you want to talk to me.
Well, that means that you've created what?
Well, you've created a brand, haven't you?
A brand, a personal brand.
That's correct.
That's what you do. How do you create a personal brand? Well, you meet people, you're good to people, you're kind to people, you're generous with people, but there's only a certain amount of people that you can meet in every day. So I'd rather do that digitally and meet thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. Like DDRE meets now 2.1 million people a month, hopefully making a good impression. That's what it's all about. And then you will attract the people that are interested in doing what you do.
Do you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
I think everyone's an entrepreneur unless it's drilled out of them.
Do you think you consider yourself a salesman?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm a marketeer, salesman, all of those things. I think we all are.
You're a business owner.
As well as.
And you have to do all the stress of being a business owner as well, the challenges that go with that. What's the least favourite thing about what you do?
Oh, great question. Knowing that the right thing is sometimes a bit of a burden. Because when you explain to people what the right thing is, in many instances, and they choose not to accept it or do it that way, it can be very frustrating. And that is the most difficult thing.
The difference between some of your clients in terms of their wealth is immense, I would imagine.
Yep.
When you take the wealthiest and most successful people that you know versus the really relatively successful still people that buy £1 million properties, etc. What have you learned is the big difference in why someone is really successful and why someone is less so?
Is mindset.
Tell me more about that.
The people who are the most successful people that I've ever met have either thought about things in a different way, care more, and are really interested in the detail. and remain curious. And they're sometimes very difficult people to be around, especially socially.
Socially awkward.
Yeah, in many instances, yeah.
Yeah.
And in our world, which is more where wealth is being created in technology, is the skill of the human is less valuable. But ironically, there is a circular movement that is taking you back to understand the human again. And I'm seeing that every day.
I was dealing with a lady the other day who's putting an event on in Las Vegas around the same time as the Formula One, and a conference. And I was talking to her and trying to do a deal with her. She wants me to host the event. So I was trying to do a deal with her. I'm like, what kind of numbers are you talking about in terms of tickets? She goes, well, I've got 4,000 tickets. I'm selling at a certain price, and then I'm selling people to subscribe online. There's a crypto world that will get involved. And I'm like, well, what do you expect the revenue to be on ticket sales? And she said, and this is for a 3-day event in Las Vegas. She went, I don't know, 52 million. And in that moment, I was just like, 52 million for a 3-day event. You think differently to me. I would never think a 3-day event hosting an audience of people for whatever the subject was, 52 million would come out of it as the money she would make. We then broke down the costs and whatnot, and the costs are only around about 10% of that. And I sat there thinking about it. I'm like, why is it normal for you to think so big?
Stop there for 1 second. You said that the cost is only about 10% of 52 million. That's still 5.2 million.
Yeah.
Why is it okay for you to think like that?
Well, 10% is a cost of any outcome. If it
But you're very accepting about it. Do you think people on the street now, when you meet them, or kids that come out of school and don't get qualifications and don't go to university, do you think they would think the same way as you?
No.
Oh, so what makes you think it's okay to think like that?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Do you know what it is?
Tell me.
You've got more awareness.
Awareness of what?
You've been around more successful people than you, and you spent more time with them, and you know that for you to make a £5.2 million investment or $1 million investment and get a return of 52 million is a good deal, and it can happen, and it's happening all the time. But if you're not around it, then it sounds like cloud cuckoo land.
Why do people get jealous of other people's success in your experience? Why do people look at other people that have in their mind made it, okay, and are jealous of that? Why are they not jealous of their journey?
Very few people document their journey. Very few. I've documented my journey. It's all been on Instagram stories. I've got it saved. You'll be able to see my journey for the past 10 years. We don't talk about our journeys enough, so people don't understand that what they're doing is actually the right thing, and that everyone feels that way to a certain extent. And people have been raised to think about things in a zero-sum game. If you're winning, you're taking away from me.
Do you think that if people knew what you'd been through to get to where you've got today, do you think they'd have more empathy and less jealousy?
Sure. It's funny. That's a great question. Growing up in a community is sometimes a blessing, and sometimes it's really difficult. I grew up in a Jewish community. And the thing about communities is that if you're part of the community and you do things the same way everyone else does, then it's totally accepted and it's absolutely fine, and you'll win just as much as everyone else around you. If you do something, it doesn't have to be a Jewish community, it could be other communities, it could be your neighborhoods, it could be your football team, it could be anything. If you think differently and choose a different path and choose to do things differently, then your community may not like it. Your community can also be your family. It can be your friendship group. It can be anybody. It can be people in your office, people in your company. And they may not like it. And you might get ostracized. And you may feel ostracized. Whether or not you get ostracized is a different story. But you may feel ostracized. I felt ostracized. I was always that person. I always thought differently, felt differently about things, and was brave enough to go and commit to my feelings and my thoughts. And up until about, I would say, 3 years ago, I had a small group of friends who I know loved me, or love me, and would be by my side, but they'd also go, I keep having to fight, Daniel's battles for him. When they sit down at the dinner table and people speaking ill of me because I'm doing social media, they have to sit there and go, hey, he's a friend of mine, like, come on. And they go, yeah, but did you see that thing? He looks so ridiculous doing that, and so on and so on. And my friends have to say, yeah, I know, like, I get it, but, just cut him some slack. He's a good guy. He doesn't hurt anyone. He's, tries to do his best, and he's trying to embrace people and push people forward. And they would constantly have to fight my battles. And sometimes they would tell me, sometimes they wouldn't. I would say in the past 2 years, my friends more recently have said, yeah, but you're a special guy. I was like, I haven't done anything different in my life. Mm-hmm. I've been the same person. Mm-hmm. The only thing that's changed is their attitude towards me, mm-hmm. and their perspective of me, mm-hmm. and the perception from others of me. Mm-hmm. But I haven't changed.
Are you lonely?
Sometimes you get lonely, sure. I mean, I've got a wonderful girlfriend now who's is a blessing for me. So I'm pleased that I wait. So I'm 44. I've been single for most of my life. And I reckon I've had probably...
I don't want to know how many people you slept with.
No.
Oh, sorry. I thought he was going to say.
No. We wouldn't be here for that long. I think I've probably had something like 8,000 days or evenings on my own.
Are you comfortable?
No, sorry, 3,000.
Are you comfortable in your own company?
I love my own company.
It's interesting, isn't it?
I love my own company. I had this conversation with one of my best friends yesterday. He can't be by himself.
Yeah, I know people
because of his youth. I love my own company. I grew up to love myself. Every day I thought wonderful things of myself. Yeah, and I think I'm capable of doing amazing things. I don't know what happened. It might have been just my youth and how I was raised. Yeah, and the conflicts and difficult moments that I've got past to enable me to say, yeah, I can do it.
Yeah,
I can do it, and I'm very honest with myself. So I've been labelled arrogant by people who just don't like me shining. Mm-hmm. And maybe there were times where I was probably a bit arrogant, for argument's sake. But I would talk about the things that I'm passionate about and that I'm good at all the time, because I loved it and I was proud. And so I wanted to just speak about those things. And if you came to me, you were often talking to me about those things because that's why you came to me, because that's what I'm projecting. But if you said to me, hey, Daniel, are you good at go-karting or darts? Or when I was younger, dating, I'd say, no, I'm terrible. But you wouldn't see that side of me if you don't ask me. And so it's amazing how your life's journey changes. And loneliness is one of the bravest, greatest things that you could ever have, because it makes you go inside, really think about yourself, why you do stuff. I mean, I've really had very difficult conversations with myself over the years, but they've been so healthy that I can walk around with my chest up and my head held high, and I can go and be me because I know my weaknesses, I know my strengths, and I'm continuing learning them.
Who's your nemesis?
Me. The worst version of me. I don't care about anyone else.
Has that always been the way, or have you had people that you've looked at in the past and gone, if I can just be as successful as him?
No, that's not a nemesis. That's not a nemesis. Someone else who's really successful is someone that I can go and learn from. You don't learn from a nemesis.
Well, yeah, you hate upon them and you want to beat them.
Exactly. I don't hate other people because they're successful.
But a nemesis is someone you hate upon and you want to overcome.
Yeah, I hate myself when I'm not as good as I should be.
Ah. Okay.
Right? The game is with me. The game is not with anyone else. I'm learning from you right now.
So when you think about it, when you take your best day ever, whatever that day may be, are you always trying to compete with that best day ever, or are you trying to compete with the best year, or what do you compete with?
Do you remember the best deal you ever did?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember how it made you feel?
Yep.
Okay. What happened the next day?
All I did, like I've always done, is I said, well, if you can do that today, you can do that tomorrow.
Okay. So then it doesn't really matter. The most important thing is that you keep standing up, you keep performing, you keep doing your best, you don't let no's get in your way, you keep adapting, you remain curious, and you keep going. I don't get high on my supply and I don't get low. I catch myself immediately when I start thinking, wasn't good enough and I embarrassed myself or whatever it may be. No. Next day we start again.
When you were the star of a TV show like you've been, and you compare the hate of social or on social versus the hate now you're on television, are there comparisons?
Didn't see much hate.
No hate at all?
No, not really.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Because
I mean,
most people do. They experience haters, you know?
Well, yes, you're not winning unless you experience haters.
Yeah.
You either get numb by it and just don't care and don't see it. I just don't care and I don't see it. There are people that still hate on me. They don't even know me. Okay, well, if you don't know me, then you don't have a good enough reason to hate me. Like, I don't really care about stuff like that.
Okay.
You know, I've always wanted to get to the point. I never could quite understand it when I was in my 20s, and people used to say, don't care about what everyone else thinks. Because the truth is that if you're in the sales business, you do care about what other people think of you. Of course you do. You can't be successful unless you're pleasing others because you're delivering a service.
Agreed.
But I care about the people that I care about. And if there are people that I don't know that have ill thoughts of me, that's down to them.
Okay, let's talk about real estate agents and how we can help them. If you were to think about people getting into your industry now, okay, what kind of characteristics would you be looking for to find someone? Again, remember you being 17 once yourself, so you were starting out. So let's say they're out of uni or they're in their early 20s, they're keen to get involved in the property game. What kind of people would you look for, and what kind of skills and attitudes do you think that you'd care about?
It's difficult to be self-aware when you're a kid. But someone who could recognize that they're not the finished article yet, and they can understand when they make mistakes and they get over it quickly. The people that harbor those mistakes and sit in them, don't get past them quickly, are really difficult to teach and explore new horizons very quickly. Okay, so getting past problems and moving on is a very valuable skill. Energy, dynamism, loving people. It's got nothing to do with real estate. The fact that you know where that marble was imported from doesn't make you a very good real estate agent. The fact that you can tell how big a property is doesn't make you a really good real estate agent. What makes you a really good real estate agent is understanding people and the reasons why they want to do things in real estate. So someone who understands people is probably relatively well-traveled, helps because culturally you get it a bit more. And is probably very keen to learn and happy to produce content.
London has been a hotbed for property for hundreds of years. It's still to this very day.
Capital of the world.
Many people think that this is the place to buy property, and we see when interest rates go down again. We've just seen recently that the Arabs have started to reignite their interest in property here after a little bit of a lull. They're singing from the rooftops in Dubai.
It's great.
It's the best place to be. It's the fastest growing real estate market. It's the best. Everything, you know. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best.
I don't get it when estate agents do that. By the way.
Well, let's compare it to London, because I know that there'll be viewers here right now that will say, "Why Dubai? Why London? Why would I choose Dubai over London, or why would I choose London over Dubai?" What expert knowledge and experience have you got that you can share with us that can help people understand that?
People are buying in Dubai because they think it's a new future. Okay, when it comes to opportunity for wealth generation, because it's a very low taxable rate there. You know, if you want to set up your business, it's very efficient. They're super accepting. It's great sunshine, very good travel movement, i.e. you can leave Dubai and travel all over the world. All these sort of things are foundational parts of a successful location to build business from and wealth generation. With the newborn way of making money through technology, you don't have to be in an office to do that. You could be anywhere. So you have these digital nomads. A digital nomad is fundamentally going to pick the most tax-efficient place to live where they can enjoy themselves. Dubai is one of those places. Now, culturally, it might not sit well with you, and therefore you may go to Geneva or Monaco or Portugal, Milan, or wherever it may be. I've just turned a bit Italian there for a second. So culturally, you have to find your place.
Yeah.
Dubai is great for young people that really want to go and be successful, and they'll buy real estate when they're there, because as soon as you hit that airport, You are being blitzed with real estate. Okay? It's real estate and tourism. That's all it is. And if you take it the way you see it, then great. Happy days. London is a slightly different sale. Culturally, it's much more diverse and it's got a lot of history, a lot of pedigree. It's beautiful. London, and I've traveled the world, is the most beautiful city I've walked through. It's stunning. And there's a lot of talent here, traditional talent. So it's a great place to base yourself out of. But if you're a digital nomad and you don't care and you don't have kids and you can bounce around the world, then there are other places to do that now. London has competition. Mm-hmm. It's your choice where you want to go. I can't leave London that easily. I can't. Can I do deals in Dubai? Yes. I've acquired 2 of the most expensive assets in Dubai. We have a license there. And we can buy and sell real estate for people. So we've done deals at $43 million, $32 million, $10 million. Like, we've done massive deals there because our clients trust us. And actually, there's a lot of wealth that's leaving London and going to Dubai. But the tide will turn one day. And London, and it's very simple. When I'm sat down with my clients, I'll give you a good indication as to what I'm doing. I have a number of very wealthy clients that want to build a real estate portfolio. And people sometimes don't appreciate or understand why someone would do that. If you're making a lot of money, you need to store it in places they feel is safe. Because you don't want to just go and play with it in the equity markets and so on and so on, because one day it can go 10%, all of a sudden you've lost your money. So they want to put money into real estate. London is a pretty safe place to do that because the fluctuations are maximum 10%, and it's going to kick off income, and it's there, right? And it's there. Now, I have a lot of very wealthy clients, but some in particular want to go and build a portfolio. And the questions we ask ourselves when we're building portfolio is, what is your taxable rate, bearing in mind on where you're living, and what kind of risk are you looking for? And then what are the jurisdictions that we feel represent good value and will continue to grow? Mm-hmm. So we'll put a map together and we'll go through where we want to deploy capital and build our portfolio. Dubai is one of those places. Mm-hmm. So is Monaco. So is Geneva, if you can buy in Geneva as a non-resident. And these are the things that we consider when we're doing that, which is why we're buying real estate all over the world for clients. I find it very interesting, personally, because who would have thought a UK real estate agent is going to go and advise people to build a portfolio all over the world? I think that's just the new beginning. Do I think agents in Dubai have a great opportunity of being successful? Yes. Do I think they need to do better? Yes. How can they do better? You don't have to convince the world that Dubai is a good place and that people are coming there. So when they post content around Dubai's growing at a 17% multiple and the weather is great for 9 months of the year and we're building this new airport, we're building this, like, that's great. But you're not giving me any information that I can't find myself or that other people aren't producing. Mm-hmm. What I want to know if I'm going to think about making that investment in Dubai is, how skilled are you? Can you help me and do I feel safe? Because you've got a lot of foreigners that are going to Dubai to invest. Mm-hmm. They're going on their own. Mm-hmm. They have no idea. And everyone's trying to sell them everything. Mm-hmm. So what do they really want? Advice. Mm-hmm. Give me advice. Tell me what I should be buying and why I should be buying it. And this is the mistake that real estate agents in Dubai are making.
That's because they're commission-only agents and they're focused on making a sale rather than doing the right thing by people in the main. There are obviously some there that do believe in advice and doing the right thing, but many are trying to make sure they make a sale so they can eat, which is what drives that.
They have to build a brand.
There's over 20,000 agents.
Great. I mean, like, great. What is the likelihood that you're going to meet a buyer before the 19,999 other agents? As a 23-year-old that's just moved there from Liverpool.
Very, very, very low.
Very low. And actually, when the customer lands in Dubai, what's the likelihood that you're going to meet them before anyone else?
Yeah, very unlikely.
Very low. So what you need to do, if you want to create a competitive advantage, is create content around all the different places in Dubai to say, these are the different places that you can buy in. This is the entry point. This is the maximum level of value. These are the kind of people that are buying here, and give information around what is going on. Now, when you do that in the digital atmosphere, you might capture a buyer's attention before they arrive in Dubai. If you do that, you can then go out and take them everywhere. Therefore, you'll secure yourself a fee position by delivering a greater service that is informative. I've been doing that for years. That's what people need to be doing. You've trained agents. What do you think?
Look, my own experience of training agents is I haven't worked in sales training with an industry that brings people of the lowest caliber available into an industry. There's a lot of people. Look, the good ones are great, and there are some very talented people. They're clearly very talented, hardworking, diligent people that have done very well for themselves. But there are many that join that industry because they want to make a fast buck. And don't realise the work that's involved in getting it done, and then they either run out of money, or they fail miserably, or they cut corners and they cheat. And so I've seen it all. I just wish the calibre of people coming into the industry was thought out more. However, there's the flip side, and the flip side is, why shouldn't somebody be given a chance? Why should we judge someone after a 30-minute or 1-hour conversation as to see what they're able to do? Because just like you, I've taken on people that I've thought, okay, I'll give them a go. I don't expect much, and they've become superstars. Just as I've taken that person, and you're my business partner, I've gone, Dan, this bloke, he's the one. He's this guy. This is the next, Ryan Sahant. The fact is, we never really know until you put people in a corner and see if they come out punching. So we have to weigh it up with that, I think, too.
Also, I think the customers don't realise what value looks like in the service.
Yeah, that's a really valid point.
If you put me in front of a customer, I'm going to wow the hell out of them. But if you don't put me in front of the customer, you better hope to meet someone at DDRE Global. Because otherwise you're not going to get the insight, the understanding, the reasoning why you make decisions.
But you were also a 17-year-old once that didn't know that and had to learn that. And so you had to go on a journey too, which a lot of these brokers, whichever country they're in, have to go on.
So actually the brokerages are using them to just deliver information then?
They should.
That's what they're doing, right? They're saying, let's hire 800 real estate agents just to deliver information around this property, and hopefully we hit the buyer.
The belief is from the developers, the big numbers, 80% of their sales come from the brokers and 20% come from their internal sales team. In my opinion, their belief is that it's purely a numbers game.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own little community to
reach
out to.
So I love this. Okay, here's my pet peeve about the developers in Dubai. They're phenomenally successful. They're making a fortune. Well done. Do you know what they're trying to do now? They're saying to the agents on the ground, no problem, here's our content, share our content. If you bring a buyer, you bring a buyer. Great. But they've started to realise that their buyers are all overseas. So what they're doing now is they're approaching people like us at DDRE Global and saying, hey, will you introduce your buyers to our development and we'll pay you 5% commission. But they're not thinking about the role of the agent. Because just because you send me a Dropbox of the pictures and videos and floor plans, what do you expect me to do with that? Do you expect me just to share your images with people? What happens when the customer goes, okay, I like it, or they share it with a couple of their friends and they go directly to you?
Yeah.
I've just lost every opportunity to make any money. And the reason why you're giving me that information is because you know that I carry what I call trust equity, where the customer's going to open what I'm sending them and take it seriously because it's me sending to them. So they're not valuing that part. And they think that just because they sent me a Dropbox links, I'm going to help them. No, I've got nowhere to store it.
No. But the reality is they've got 19,999 others that will do that.
Yes, but none of them are reaching that customer before they land there. You see, if I get the asset to you as a buyer before you get to Dubai, it is more likely you're going to consider that scheme before one of the 30, 40, 50 different other schemes that every random agent's going to offer you. That's the truth of it. In fact, I might travel with you and hold your hand through that process. That's very valuable for a developer because we know the customer, and the person closest to the customer wins all day, every day. And we built this business called advsr.ai that enables us to do that. But they still think that their sales team is going to be successful by just outbound Dropbox links. And it's crazy.
Interesting perspective. Let's finish this up with some questions around the persistence that's required for young professional people to become somebody. Do you believe in goals?
No.
Okay. Do you believe that people should be paid in education and should understand that they're getting an education and that's valuable to them?
Haven't thought about it.
If you were starting out right now and you got the next 12 months ahead of you with all of the wisdom that you've got, what would be the first thing you'd do in the first 3 months?
I'll be scouring the planet to find the best real estate agent that would enable me to work with them.
Okay. So go out and find the best person in that industry and go and work for them for a period of time to learn from them.
Yep.
And would you do that? Would you be prepared to do that for free?
Me?
If you were starting
Oh, if
out,
I was the kid? Oh, yeah. I'd even pay them if I had the money.
Because I said to my daughters when they first came out of university, I said, the first 2 years, I don't want you to worry about earning a salary. Go and work for somebody for free.
Yep.
And get the education as your payment. I'll give you money.
It's not the education, though, is it? It's not just the education.
Well, it's the experience, it's the proximity, it's the people that they meet along the
network.
way. Okay, they get
the
exposed
network.
to a group of people. Yeah, absolutely.
It's the network. If Sally starts working with me and I introduce Sally to you and other people, you have something called trust equity that I've earned with you that I pass to Sally. And Sally now is someone that can call you up randomly out of the blue and you're going to give her time.
Really valuable.
Super duper valuable.
Absolutely. Dan, I really appreciated you taking some time to talk to us today. Hopefully this has been valuable for you too.
Yeah, no, I loved it. It's great. Thank you. I appreciate it too.
Thanks so much for coming on the pod.
Thanks, dude.